It's like, yeah, it's like 20% pure, 30%, something like that.
Yeah. People. My voice is still deep. I woke up so late. I had a late night session yesterday, studio session. I woke up so fucking late. I was meant to be on stream from earlier though. Oh my days. Don't tell me my chair's gonna start acting up as well. Cool. Why do I look so dark?
I know many of you watch me twice a day, so I cannot drop you. Thank you very much for stopping by. You are very much appreciated. You know that. Please click on the button subscribe. This is your first time. I'm sure we're gonna love each other. We're gonna see each other very much often. We click on the button, subscribe, it's done. We're gonna do this. Let's go. So I greet you, I see you from all over the place. Thank you very much for South Africa watching us. Sani Bonani, Dumelang, thank you so much. Uganda, Jebaleko, Basebo Nabanyao, Rwanda, Bite, Kenya, Tanzania, VP, Ghana, sorry, I can't say everybody. Nigeria, Jamaica, not Afghanistan, United States of America, thank you so much. Somalia, Ethiopia, Namibia, Sudan, I see you, Zambia, thank you so much. Okay, let's go very quickly. Today we're talking about Niger. Niger, we've spoken about Niger quite a bit. Here is the map. I know many of us don't know where Niger is. Beautiful place, extremely hot, but yeah, lovely people. Niger has done something really, really amazing. Okay, so the president has abolished a law that was voted in 2015. This law basically said whoever came through Niger illegally in order to go to Europe was being arrested and condemned from 2 to 10 years imprisonment and 500 euros.
You're still
Rotted.
number 96 in the queue.
Buying business insurance doesn't have to take up precious time. With Policy B, you can quote and buy online in
what the
minutes.
hell?
You can even change your cover and claim online. No
To be paid to leave. So, in other words, whoever came through Niger illegally, or every Nigerian who hosted somebody illegally, many African, sub-Saharan Africans wants to go to Europe. Okay, not everybody, but yeah, some want to go to Europe, hoping to get a better life. For some reason, they think Africa is not good enough. They think they can have a much better life going to Europe, in France. Even though in France you see a lot of homeless people, a lot of people. Yeah, it's crazy. No, it's not what you think. It's not. So the law says if somebody from Niger helped anybody from another country illegally from crossing the country, going to whichever country in the north in order to go to Europe, even the Nigerian will be condemned for 2 years to 10 years in prison.
Sure.
Now the law has been abolished. So basically what happened, that law was instated because the European Union financed Niger at the time. That was with the previous president, Mohamed Bazoum. So he received a lot of money coming from the European Union and many other countries in order to instate a law that will actually help them, help them keep Africans off Europe. Okay, that's it. So the chief of Niger military regime, General Abdurrahman Chani, abolished a law issued in 2015 that criminalized the smuggling of illegal immigrants seeking to reach Europe via Libya. Under the law, Nigerians who in one way or the other facilitated the transfer of foreign immigrants to the north, Libya and Algeria, were subjected to criminal prosecution. So the law transformed Niger into a center of containing immigrants from West and Central Africa heading to north, as the capital Niamey hosts a large reception center through which immigrants are returned to their country of origin. So basically you understand what it is. The law transformed Niger, or Niamey, its capital, as a center, a cleaning center, to return Africans back to their country because Niger received money from the European Union at the time. The European Union, the International Organization for Migration, and the United States also funded the process of strengthening borders control services. Obviously.
What the fuck?
So the law transformed Niger into a center of containing immigrants from West and Central Africa heading to North, as the capital Niamey hosted large reception center through which immigrants are returned to their country of origin. So basically, you understand what it is. The law transformed Niger or Niamey, its capital, as a center,
It's like a prison,
a
camp
cleaning center, to return
to deter Africans from going to Europe. That sounds. I think that's what's.
Africans back to their
That's what was
country
just said.
because Niger received money from the European Union at the time. The European Union, the International Organization for Migration, and the United States also funded the process of strengthening borders control services. Obviously, you don't want Africans in your continent, you sponsor Niger so they can control them. Americans did the same to control Africans. Same as many NGOs to stop Africans, sub-Saharan Africans, from coming to the north. We know Morocco gets money from Spain, Italy. We know, some of these countries get money. So whatever they do is to stop you guys from going to the other side. Now, why has Niger abolished the law? That's a very good question, right? We all think it's a good thing to do because they call it human trafficking. Okay, they say it's a law to stop human trafficking and stuff like that. Let me just put it into concepts for you. What is human trafficking? Okay, yes, there's human trafficking, as you know. Now, this type of human trafficking is basically
Beeps. Clicks. The language.
you as a Nigerian helping a Ivorian, for instance, crossing Niger to the next country, even though the Ivorian voluntarily wants to go to the next country so he can go to Europe.
Right.
You are condemned, will be accused and
That's how they manipulate the numbers of human trafficking around the world. I think so, because human trafficking is therefore a big issue. But that's probably how they're inflating the numbers by making new laws about human trafficking that benefits both European countries in terms of immigration and in terms of them standing as the moral police, like the world police. Like they're fighting human trafficking there, they're fighting this, but they're not even representing the right groups of people that actually need the help.
charge of human trafficking. So it's not necessarily that you're arming this person, because when we hear human trafficking in this sense, specific sense, we tend to think it's you are harming somebody physically. But in this context, what they call human trafficking is basically you as a host allowing a foreign national to cross your country to go to the next one. They call it human trafficking. I mean, yeah, you know what I'm saying? You can manipulate words to suit your goals. That's what it is. Now, why has the Nigerian government abolished this law? Very simple. Niger decided to repeal the law in response to the position taken by the European Union against the July 26 coup, the support to the extremely harsh sanction announced by ECOWAS, and the calls for the return of the ousted president Mohamed Bazoum. So basically, European Union supported ECOWAS, okay, and asked for the return of the president Mohamed Bazoum. That's the reason why the new government in Niger say we are abolishing this law. We've been protecting you for too long. We've been keeping these Africans away from Europe. Now we're going to let them pass. Haha. Congratulations. Great. For context, Niger is a beautiful country. Again, like I said, here is a map. Lovely place, beautiful people. For many years, it was colonized by the French. Yeah, the French people colonized Niger the way they colonized many other African nations. They speak French, if you prefer, as a national language instead of their own local language. Very sad, but that's the situation. So in the 1960s, French people decided to leave the country. They say, okay, people from Niger, you are matured enough. We're going to let you live in your own country in independence. Yeah, officially, but unofficially,
Psych.
they got Niger by the balls. Yes, because France obviously ran the economy of the country. Niger is a great producer of uranium. Uranium is what you need for production for electricity. So France bought the majority of uranium produced in Niger. to produce its own electricity. And that electricity, France had so much uranium, they sold electricity to other European countries. In the meantime, Niger did not have electricity. You know what I mean? Niger had to buy electricity for its own use from Nigeria. Yes, these are two different countries. Here is Niger, this is the map of Niger, and this is the map of Nigeria. Yes, they are neighboring countries, but they are completely two different countries. So Niger imports electricity from Nigeria, even though they've got so much uranium to give to France, and for France to produce enough electricity to sell to other European countries. That's how the country was run. Now, many years down the line, people of Niger said, you know what, enough is enough. Okay, our president is clearly not working for the interests of our people. He is allowing big companies from other countries to come into our country, to loot the country, to take the minerals and do other things and make a lot of money while our own people are suffering.
Facts.
So they decided to topple the president, Mohamed Bazoum. People who toppled Mohamed Bazoum were his own guard. Yes, the guard says you're legally elected. If you don't do that, we're gonna come in by force, destroy. They attack Niger. You're gonna be declaring.
I'm skipping because I already know some of them details. Like they had the coup, then France didn't recognize the coup, then they said that they were not a legit. My man wasn't a legit leader. That they need to have sanctions and stuff like that.
War against us. That's when they thought again. They were like, okay, maybe we don't want this war after all. So, had there not been Mali and Burkina Faso, these 15 other countries, we would have probably attacked Niger. And we instated President Bazoum. Fellas, the goal here was we want our country for our people. We want somebody who's going to run the country for the interest of the people. But other African brothers, other African countries did not like that. Why? Because they felt like by allowing what's happening in Niger, that's going to encourage their own people from toppling them as president. I mean, if it's happened to the neighbor, it might happen to you. So let's go to the neighbor, let's crush whoever's standing against the neighbor so we can discourage the people in our countries. But unfortunately, there is nothing they can do about it right now. Now, the reason why they've stopped this law is because the European Union sponsored the ECOWAS countries.
It's the Hosting a Cyber Week sale. Web hosting now from only $1.99 a month. Get epic savings for a limited time.
The European Union said ECOWAS countries should go to Niger and destroy the people in Niger and reinstate President Mohamed Bazoum. Forgetting that they signed a contract with Niger, allowing Niger to stop immigrants from going to Europe. Yeah, that is shooting yourself on your foot. I mean, I think in a very clever way, Europeans should have just shut up. Okay, they should have just let it run its course. Then say, you know what, you can continue, you can be the new president. Can we just discuss a little bit? We got some money for you. Can you continue stopping those guys from coming here? I'm sure it's, you know what I mean, it would have been fine. But they stood very strong against that. They voted a law. European Union used to send money, about 500 million euros to Niger. They decided to stop the funding because they toppled the president of their country. So the new people in power say, we're going to teach you a lesson. Now we're going to let these people come to the country and let's see what you're going to do about it. Now, after that, what's happened? Nigeria cut electricity that it was providing to Niger. So you telling me you love Niger so much that you want one person to get back in power? You ready megawatt photovoltaic plant to compensate for significant shortage since Nigeria stopped supplying electricity to Niger in response to the July coup to grow.
Wait, we got another video.
Those are the time that you need to actually exploit who you truly are. And I think it's the same thing that has happened to Niger. For all these years, they receive electricity from
Ukraine and Europe, and between Israel and Hamas in the Middle East. There were ominous storm clouds gathering over the Horn of Africa that whisper of yet another cataclysmic war still to come soon. This time between Ethiopia and Eritrea. Ethiopian troops are currently massing themselves directly on the Eritrean border, here at Zalambesa, a mere 100 miles away from the Eritrean capital of Asmara. with additional deployments further to the southeast near the Eritrean port city of Assal. All as the current Prime Minister of Ethiopia's rhetoric has grown dramatically stronger and more assertive over the past month.
Why do they want Eritrea though?
First elected to the office in
I do know that Ethiopia was that the only country that wasn't colonized, technically. But they did lose a lot of land to the Europeans. So is that why they're trying to get that land back? Like I saw Somalia, parts of it used to be in Ethiopia. Part of Eritrea as well. I'm pretty sure part of Sudan as well, Egypt. Like it was massive. And the European powers just carved out little bits and pieces, especially the Italians. The Italians took some shit.
2018, Abiy Ahmed has found himself as the leader of a nation with both tremendous potential and tremendous vulnerabilities. With a population of 126.5 million people as of 2023, Ethiopia is the second most populous country on the African continent, and by far...
No, it's the third. Ethiopia is third, Nigeria is second, and Congo just overtook Nigeria.
Or the most populous one in East Africa, with a population that is roughly equivalent to every single one of its geographic neighbors combined, and a population that is continuing to grow very rapidly. By the end of this decade in 2030, the Ethiopian population is projected to grow to as many as 150 million people, which will make Ethiopia the 9th most heavily populated country in the world by then, with even more people than Russia. But uniquely, out of all the countries in the world that will be in the top 10 most populous states by 2030, only Ethiopia among them will become...
Just check. $100 million, 102 million. They have 263,000. Okay, I was wrong. That YouTube video I was watching was wrong then. They were saying how DRC was about to overtake the most. Oh no! Sorry guys, it's DRC's capital. It's the biggest capital of Africa. 16 million people, and it used to be Lagos before. 15 million. So yeah, Kinshasa just overtook Lagos as the most populated capital in Africa. That's what I got it mixed. Not the whole country, it's the capital. I knew I return about that.
Completely landlocked, without any direct access to the global ocean. In fact, out of the top 33 largest countries in the world today by population, Ethiopia is the only one among them who is landlocked, which makes Ethiopia by far the world's most heavily populated landlocked country.
That's
the next
not
most
good.
populous landlocked countries after Ethiopia are Uganda and Uzbekistan, and they only have a fraction of the same population that Ethiopia does.
That's not good.
Obviously,
Landlocked.
this lack of direct access to the sea is a serious limitation on the ability for Ethiopia to conduct trade with the rest of the world, as all of Ethiopia's imports and exports must each flow through other countries that surround it first, who can leverage their geographic position over Ethiopia in the form of charging taxes, tolls, and fees on allowing that trade to pass through them. Right now, an overwhelming 95% of Ethiopia's entire trade volume...
And some of them other countries that do have access to the sea, they're not even doing trades like that. Like Somaliland, like they're not trading that much. Even Eritrea, they're not even trading that much stuff as much as Egypt or like South Africa, or like, you know what I'm saying?
consisting of both
Ghana.
imports and exports, flows exclusively through the deep water container port of Doran, within the neighboring small coastal country of Djibouti, which is connected by an electric railroad that was only
And
inaugurated...
Djibouti was carved out by the French. They might as well, bro. Djibouti, you might as well join with Ethiopia, bro. Like, come on, fam.
created in 2018,
Stop working
all
with
the
the
way
white
to the
people.
Ethiopian capital of Addis Ababa, nearly 350 miles or 560 kilometers away. This rail route and port access in Djibouti is therefore Ethiopia's lifeline to trade with the outside world. and its single most important logistical artery. But it hasn't come very cheap for them. It turns out that the trade volume conducted by 126 million landlocked Ethiopians is large enough to account for about 70% of the entire port of Djibouti's commercial activity. And Djibouti has been able to leverage their geographic position to charge the Ethiopians more than $1 billion a year in annual port.
Yeah, that's not gonna end well, fam. Why are you taxing me, fam? Are you crazy?
Fees, a sum that represents more than a quarter of Djibouti's entire nominal GDP, and a sum that is a high price to pay for Ethiopia, a country where nearly 1/5 of the population continues to remain dependent on humanitarian food aid. At the same time, the port of Dorala itself within Djibouti is almost certainly safe for Ethiopia to continue using. There's a Chinese PLA base located only 2 miles to the west of the port, while the United States, France, Japan, and Italy all maintain their own military bases within Djibouti nearby as well.
Yeah, Ethiopia needs to pipe up. Why are all these white people chilling right next to their city? Military base? Are you crazy? Does Ethiopia has a military base in China? No. Does Ethiopia has a military base in France? No. Does Ethiopia has a military base in the US? No. Does Ethiopia has a military base in Spain? No. Why the fuck are these lot coming right next to my neighborhood? Are you crazy? Yeah, I hear what they're trying to say. I can't lie. Like, you can't be doing all that. They need to pipe down, bro.
Nobody will ever attack Ethiopia's port access here with so many big military great powers bases nearby. But that's not really what Ethiopia's fear is. The bigger fear is the vulnerability of the railroad that connects Ethiopia to the port. A railroad
They might not really there for Ethiopians' interest, fam. That's cap.
Various rebel forces operating within Ethiopia that might be receiving foreign support
What you
could
saying,
attack and
broski?
sever, which would, in a flash...
How you been? I was in your stream the other day. Was it that Baldur game? But I don't think I think Sky was playing still.
isolate the Ethiopian government from access to the port of Dorala in Djibouti, and block off 95% of the country's entire trade volume. And for that reason, Ethiopia would prefer to directly control their own ports to reduce this vulnerability.
I mean, it
Lately,
makes
one way I've
sense.
been able to help keep my mental health a priority
makes
is through
sense
therapy
still.
using BetterHelp. After graduating college,
During a televised speech on the 13th of October 2023, Abiy Ahmed exclaimed with clear frustration that 150 million Ethiopians couldn't be expected to live within a geographic prison, cut off from the ocean and their most important trade routes. Adding on to his remarks that, quote, whether you'd like it or not, the prison will have to blast somewhere. During that same
Bro, it has
speech, he
to,
further
bro,
warned
see.
by saying directly, quote, we can see the
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, I was chatting in the chat, but I don't think you lot were active. Unless, maybe my sound was too low. I didn't hear what was going on, but yeah. Ethiopia's trying to war with Eritrea, innit? And that other maybe possibly Djibouti and that. And so far I'm 4 minutes in, I low-key hear it, I can't lie.
that only a narrow strip of land separates us from the Red Sea. It is crucial for the present leaders of Somalia, Djibouti, Eritrea, and Ethiopia to engage in discussions, not just for the present, but to ensure the lasting peace. If this is not going to happen, there will be no fairness and justice, and if there is no fairness and justice, it's only a matter of time. We will fight. End quote. Understandably, these recent aggressive
Holy.
comments by the Ethiopian Prime Minister, accompanied by increasing Ethiopian troop buildups and airplane activity on the border with Eritrea, has set alarm bells ringing across the entire region, from Eritrea to Djibouti and Somalia. 3 nations all with vastly smaller populations than Ethiopia, and which, like the Ethiopian Prime Minister so plainly
Yeah,
stated,
Ethiopia's not too happy about that, bro. Like, these men are landlocked. When you deep it, it doesn't make sense, bro. Like, they need access to the water. No, for certain games, I turn off the comments because 8% of people want to do a Q&A instead of focusing on the content. So now I just catch them as I can, so my bad. Oh, I hear that. Yeah, I thought I was getting aired still. I was like, I think I just turned it down. I was still watching though, but I think I was doing something else.
block Ethiopia's soon-to-be 150
I was seeing
million
bare,
people
I was seeing
access to
bare
the
midgets
ocean
on the game. I was like, why is there so many like short people in the game? I was like, and then I was confused.
for only narrow, sparsely populated strips of land. that potentially appear ripe for the taking. Where the world's attention is more heavily focused on the ongoing events in Gaza and Ukraine, perhaps the Ethiopian Prime Minister senses that the opportunity could soon be near to finally break out from his country's geographic prison and overcome one of Ethiopia's greatest weaknesses and handicaps by seizing parts or even the entirety of Eritrea through force, which would finally establish Ethiopian-controlled ports directly on the Red Sea itself and reduce their crippling over-reliance on Djibouti for international trade in the process. After all, Ethiopia's weakness of being the world's most heavily populated landlocked country is only a fairly recent phenomenon. It was only reduced to this landlocked status in a flash a little more than 30 years ago, when Eritrea itself became independent and seceded from the rest of Ethiopia.
That's
now,
crazy
30
still.
years later, it appears that Ethiopia is potentially preparing for a war to retake it.
Ethiopia wants to get back, bro. Ethiopia said we getting it back in blood. I don't agree, but broski, this is a deeper story than what it is, isn't it?
A war
It's
that could
always a divide and conquer type shit.
easily end up becoming one of the 21st century's most catastrophically cataclysmic, because it could throw the entire delicate region of Eastern Africa into an apocalypse. And in order to understand why, it helps to start with how Ethiopia and Eritrea's current borders came to be, and why there is so much controversy between them. You see, Ethiopia is one of the world's most ancient civilizations,
Facts.
dating back thousands of years ago to the kingdom of Axum that, at its apex in the 3rd century, dominated the entire Red Sea with a formidable navy.
Say no more, broski. Say no more. Yeah, I was tuning in because every time I miss your stream, bro, because it's always that you usually stream on the late night ones, then I never catch it live. Gotta stop beefing and turn against the white community. Broski, before we do that, we need to address certain issues of couple brothers that think that their land is theirs because the white man gave it to them. That's what that needs to be addressed. It's like, brother, why are you taxing me like this is your own country when you know that we used to be one? Now you wanna act like, oh yeah, this is my side, this is your side. Don't make me pipe up. Don't make me pipe up. That's all I gotta say. Because before we get to that, there's a few hurdles we gotta get through first. Couple man think they have the right to say because the white man gave it to them. Nah. Just like they stole this land, you stole that land from me. It's not because you're black that I'm allow it. And to be honest, yeah, I don't even agree with fighting over land like that, because really and truly it's a bit you'll think like, oh yeah, like it's juvenile, like it's childish. Oh, these lot are fighting over pieces of land. Oh, that's mine, that's yours. But when you're thinking on economics and financially, in geopolitics, bro, a country that is as big as Ethiopia should have access to the sea. Do you get it? Like, they can't really control their trading if all their trading is going through other countries. And if anything goes wrong, they can just landlock them and say, alright, cool, nothing goes into your country. That's what I'm saying. So it's never really just about the land. Sometimes it is about the land, but it's about what the land can give you, what opportunity you can get from the land. Like, it's nuts, bro. Like, how can you be like 130 million people and you have no access to the sea? Like, that's a bit scary, I can't lie. Anytime they can just lock off your trading routes, like.
And was considered to have been one of the ancient world's foremost great powers, alongside the Romans, the Persians, and the Chinese. While going through many changes over the eons of time since then, the modern-day state of Ethiopia was more or less created through a series of military campaigns across the mid to late 19th.
Of course, bro. These lot got invaded by the North. They started going down. Then obviously the Italians got involved with Somalia. It was a brazy. It was brazy still. Yeah, it's inhumane, I can't lie.
Century, and gradually assumed its currently recognized borders as a unified imperial empire by the end of the 19th century in 1898. During that time, the Ethiopian Empire drove out 2 attempted foreign conquests. One by the Egyptians, who attempted to invade and subjugate Ethiopia between 1874
Bro,
and
the Egyptians were on smoke. They wanted to take over the whole of Ethiopia. It wasn't even just the Egyptians, because even the Egyptians themselves got taken over by the Arabs. When the Arab conquest was going brazy, they were like, "Oh, Egypt is ours now," and they were trying to go for Ethiopia as well, and Ethiopia was not going.
And then another by the Italians, who came marching in 20 years later.
The Italians try to come after. Allow that, fam.
1896. Between 1869, when an Italian company first purchased the port of Assab on the Red Sea coast, to 1889, the colonial Italian authorities steadily expanded their colony that they called Italian Eritrea.
All this is the British. All this is British colonies surrounding Ethiopia, trying to destabilize that shit. Because remember, that's the last country that didn't colonize. Then look, you have the Italians doing the pressing, stopping them from the sea. Bro, this is an orchestrated attack, bro. Then you have the Belgians right there. You have the Congo right in the back garden, just in case they get that far.
To modern-day Eritrea's borders. In 1896, they invaded Ethiopia from Italian Eritrea with the intention of subjugating Africa's sole remaining independent nation into their still-growing colonial empire. But that invasion turned into a complete disaster for them. Ethiopia, you see, is by far the most mountainous country located in Africa, with a complex series of valleys, lakes, lowlands, and very tall highlands.
Job done. Perfect. So we have...
That man went up the mountains. It's just like the Maroons in the Caribbean.
Beautiful.
When you got off the plantation, killed a couple colonizers with your machete, you run up to the mountains, bro. Setting couple traps, having couple spots to lookouts, couple lookouts on the, you know what I'm saying? They can't get to you.
The largest city of the country has long been in Addis Ababa, and at an elevation of 8,200 feet above sea level. It is one of only 4 cities worldwide to currently have a population of more than 1 million people that's above 8,000 feet in elevation, with the only other 3 all being found in
the guerrilla
South America.
warriors know. You just kill a couple man and then you go up the mountains and you just camping, waiting for them. Like, pull up. They're not gonna pull up, bro. Historically,
Colombia, Quito,
it
Ecuador,
doesn't end well.
Bolivia,
Ask the Haitians.
Surrounded by a buffer of lowlands.
The Haitians beat up everyone. They beat the French, they beat the Americans, they beat the English. The Haitians are on smoke, bro. Even in Vietnam, ask the Viet Congs, bro. Them man were up in the trenches, bro. No, I said the trenches are down. Sorry, they're up in the mountains.
Sababa, and by extension,
but they also had trenches as well. Like, these men were doing the most. They had like traps in the trees, traps on the floor. They're hiding in the river. Like, it's crazy.
Of Ethiopia is essentially a mountainous fortress that has always been challenging for outside invaders to conquer and occupy. Even technologically superior outsiders like the Italians in 1896. Their failure to...
Superior in what sense? Them man lost. How they're superior? Superior, we will say.
Conquer Ethiopia then secured the empire's continued existence based on Ethiopia's current borders for the next 40 years to come. A fact that cemented Ethiopia's fame as the only state in Africa that managed to successfully fight off all of European colonialism and retain their own independence. But ultimately, as an empire of its own independent creation, Ethiopia has always had similar problems as many other modern African states that were born from European colonialism nonetheless.
Facts.
All of the towering mountains, wide valleys, large lakes, and thundering rivers of the empire have long divided the country geographically and restricted easy travel from one part of it to another, which has encouraged the development of multiple different ethnic groups and languages over thousands of years of history that has made Ethiopia one of the most ethnically and linguistically diverse countries in the world today. Ethiopian leaders have always struggled with keeping the whole thing together as a result.
Bro, oh my days, that is a lot of different ethno-linguistic groups, bro. I can't even... You have the Somalis, of course, massive on the east. Somalis, you have Agal, Awis. I've never heard of those ones. Kafisho, Bench, Kurajis, Yem. Where's that? Where's the Yem one? I think it's this one. Hadia, Halaba, bro. That is a lot of different groups, bro.
And today, there are 9 different major ethnic groups within Ethiopia, and more than 80 different languages that are spoken from 4 separate major linguistic families. The imperial period of Ethiopia across the 19th and 20th centuries was dominated by the ethnic Amhara, the legacy of which is that the Amharic language remains the primary lingua franca of Ethiopia today. It is the language that's most used by the national government. But the Amharas are only the second largest ethnic group in Ethiopia today, at only about 27% of the overall population. The Oromo are the largest ethnic group at about 35% of the entire country's population, while the Tigray represent about 7% and the Somali at a further 6%, with dozens of others representing the final 25%. And on top of being extremely ethnically and linguistically diverse, Ethiopia is highly religiously diverse as well. Ethiopia was one of the very first countries in the world to officially adopt Christianity way back in the 4th century AD, a legacy that is continued today, with the traditional Ethiopian Orthodox Church being followed by roughly 44%
Bro,
of
they were the Christians. They're the original Christians, bro.
Being followed by a further 23% of the population, bringing Christianity up to a total of about 2/3 of the modern population. The remaining 1/3 of Ethiopia's population mostly follow the Islamic faith, a legacy of the country's close proximity to the Arabian Peninsula and North Africa. And different ethnic groups in the country largely follow one faith or the other. The Oromo and the Somali largely follow Islam, while the Tigray and the Amhara higher up in the more geographically isolated Ethiopian highlands largely follow Christianity. A fact that has long contributed to a centuries-long worldview within the Amhara community, that they are effectively an isolated...
That sounds complicated already, fam. I can't lie. That sounds complicated. That's why you need an op to... That's why you need an op to unite everyone. I'm sorry. This is geopolitical stuff. This is science and politics put together. All these men they're gonna be divided anyway. You need a common enemy so people can just have a sense of nation, a sense of purpose. You know what I'm saying? Otherwise, they're just going at each other. Like, it's crazy.
Island of Christianity surrounded by a sea of Islam. In 1930, Haile Selassie, an Ethiopian Orthodox Christian Amhara,
Rastafari,
ascended to the imperial throne, and though his reign would be long, he was nonetheless
That's what man did in Watchmen. Wait, what's Watchmen? Watchmen.
Final emperor. 5 years after he took the throne in 1935, the Italians under Benito Mussolini and his fascist party decided to try...
Fuck Mussolini. That's the biggest op as well, bro. That's one of the biggest op. Dropped a giant squid alien to stop. But that would make sense, bro. If people are going at each other, we need a common enemy. We need a common enemy. All these lot talking about Muslim, traditionalist, Protestant, Christian, I'm this tribe. Bro, the op is right here. How about that? Now, what are we? Man said, I don't, but he wiped out New York. Who wiped out New York? The alien? That is, wait, did I watch this? That sounds familiar.
Their luck and invaded
Is it old? Is it old?
Again,
Or is it
in
new?
their quest to expand the Italian Empire. And this time, their technological superiority was simply far too great to handle.
Oh, hell no. I said the sacrifice, New York. I know a few, the New York Twitchers are not gonna like this one still when they rewatch it.
The Ethiopians were still relying on foot messengers to transmit battlefield information, while the Italians were using radio...
Wait, that sounds like something that happened in our lifetime, but damn, it does sound vaguely familiar.
Heavy artillery and airplanes they used to drop bombs and chemical weapons like mustard gas. Without any outside intervention stopping the Italians, they overran Ethiopia this time in only a matter of months, which caused the emperor to flee to Britain in exile. In the aftermath in 1936, the fascist Italians administratively conquered Ethiopia with their pre-existing colonies in Eritrea and Somalia, to form what they simply called Italian East Africa, but it wouldn't end up lasting for very long.
How dare them? That sounds disgusting. Italian East Africa. Ugh. What the fuck?
However you spice.
How? In what world does Italy has anything to do with Africa? I said Italian East Africa. And them man will probably be proud of themselves. They went there like, yep, guys, this is Italian East Africa. this is our land, this is our slaves, and this is our heaven. This is our playground. This is where we get to go wild. And then they go back to their country and then they want to act almighty and that. What? Are you crazy?
Decided to enter World War II on the
want to
side
chat
of
about pizza and cheese and mozzarella and shit. Like say that you didn't learn how to cook in Ethiopia, dickhead.
Nazi Germany and declared war on Britain and France, which quickly led them to invading and conquering the nearby colony of British Somaliland in 1940 and adding it to the rest of it.
British Somaliland, bro. British Somaliland, Italian East Africa. These names are so wild, bro. Where you going today? Well, I'm going to Italian East Africa. Bitch, you a sellout. What the fuck?
East Africa, before the British launched their own.
No wonder our ancestors just were fighting these man tooth and nail, because, bro, the sheer cheek.
Invasion into the area the following
British
year in 1941 and brought Emperor Haile Selassie back with them. Italy, of
big up
course,
Haile
ended up
Selassie,
disastrously losing the Second World War, and all of their former colonies in East Africa consisted
British, Australian, Mexico. Like, bro, what the fuck? What the fuck?
of modern-day Ethiopia, Eritrea, and
British Virgin Island. Bro, UK is already an island. Why do you need other islands? It's crazy.
Somalia all ended up under British military occupation. The British quickly restored Ethiopia's independence based on their current borders, with Haile Selassie reinstated as the emperor in 1944.
Big up Haile Selassie, the prophet. You know what I'm saying?
But after
I love man.
1945, there was a considerable amount of controversy over what exactly to do.
Big up my man,
rest of
bro.
Italy's
He had to bun them, bro. Bun Babylon every single day.
former
fam.
colonial possessions in Eritrea and Somalia. The British continued occupying both of them until 1950, when the former Italian
Look at the conspiring. All them men are in cahoots. Look at them, all in cahoots. They're like, we'll give you that back, but we'll keep all the land that's by the sea. What do you think this is? Do you think they're not gonna get it back in blood, fam?
Eritrea and Somalia. The British continued occupying both of them until 1950, when the former Italian Somalia became the UN Trust Territory of Somalia, placed back under Italian administration, which eventually became independent a decade later in 1960, and then merged with the former British Somaliland to become the United Republic of Somalia. Eritrea, however, turned out to be far more controversial. It had been an Italian colony for nearly 3/4 of a century before World War II, and expecting that the communists would soon emerge victorious in the post-war Italian...
I blame the Italians for Ruby Rose, fam. I'm sorry. This is it's like them man are the wild version of East Africa, because they were colonized for so long. They were just like, yeah. We might as well just adopt some of their evil ways.
Elections.
Broski, like, there's no Ruby Rose in the Somalian community. There's no Ruby Rose in the Ethiopian community. It's just in the Eritrean community. I don't take what I'm saying too serious. I don't want no beef.
Soviets initially argued that Eritrea should be simply returned back to Italy's control.
Are you hearing
become a
this?
Soviet-
Man, them were fighting for Eritrea to go back to the Italians. Nah, allow it, man. Those man are pizza warriors, fam.
a trustee instead. The Eritreans themselves and most of the Arab world, meanwhile, who viewed the country as an extension of their own, argued for Eritrean self-determination and independence. While Haile
It's
Selassie...
always the white people try to come to you say, yeah, you deserve better. You deserve to have your own nation. Fuck what they think over there. We will support you. We are the great British. We will fund you. We will give you weapons. Fuck what they think over there. You deserve it. You're a bad bitch. You should have what you worked for. That's what they come. And then they're like, wait, what? You're right. You're right. Why did we listen to them?
the restored emperor of Ethiopia,
crazy, fam.
argued that Eritrea could never be self-sufficient on its own and insisted that it should be annexed into Ethiopia instead.
Yeah,
which
you
would
said
also be
that.
Self-sufficient. Selassie, the restored emperor of Ethiopia, argued that Eritrea could never be self-sufficient on its own and insisted that it should be annexed into Ethiopia.
Do I agree? I look. This is the emperor. He spoke. The emperor spoke. The emperor spoke. When Joe Biden chats shit, so no one says nothing back. When they put David Cameron back in the parliament, no one said nothing back. Why are you gonna chat back when the emperor said this belongs to us?
Instead, which would also happen to ensure that Ethiopia would break out from its landlocked prison and control a direct coastline on the Red Sea.
Matter of fact, fuck it. When Putin said something, no one dares say nothing back over here. So when it's Haile Selassie, it's okay because it's Haile Selassie. Nah, I disagree.
As an absolute monarchy, Haile Selassie's regime in Ethiopia was staunchly opposed to the spread of communism and to the Soviet Union. And that made him a
Yeah,
natural...
right. It's always the Russians. Once the African starts to see something, they work for the Russians. The minute an African kid wakes up and is like, wait, is there another way of thinking in this life? Oh, he's Russian. Oh, yeah, he's working with the Russians. They did it to everyone.
Ally for the Americans in the following Cold War, who decided to back his view that Eritrea should be given to Ethiopia. And so, at Washington's insistence, the United Nations passed Resolution 390A in December of 1950, that went into effect 2 years later in 1952, officially joining Eritrea with Ethiopia in a newly created country that was creatively called the Federation of Ethiopia and Eritrea. In this federation, Eritrea was supposed to possess a very high degree of autonomy separate from Ethiopia, with its own flag, its own police force, control over its own administration and taxes, and so on. But the Ethiopian emperor would spend the following years continually whittling away at this autonomy. The emperor eventually imposed the Amharic language of Ethiopia as the sole official language upon Eritrea, in place of the indigenous Arabic and Tigrayan languages, which eventually sparked a full-blown armed independence movement in Eritrea.
He wanted to unify people. He said, if we're gonna be a country, we need to speak the same language. No, I'm joking. I don't know. That's a bit crazy. How could you tell them what to speak after you agreed to leave them alone, low-key? But then, if you're gonna be a supreme leader of a nation, can you have people have too much independence? Because then you're not in control no more. That means all the rest of the country, you have the right to see what they're doing because you're emperor. But this side of the country, they can be plotting. You never know. Because they're doing their own thing. And what if you go there, you ask questions, and then they speak their own language now? You're like, oh shit. I can't even understand what's going on as the emperor. No, I'm joking. I don't know though. This is very complex questions right there. Like what? This is crazy. Like being the ruler of a country is definitely not an easy job.
That rose up against him in 1961. The following year, in 1962, Haile Selassie declared that the Federation of Ethiopia and Eritrea was being formally abolished, and that the Ethiopian Empire was simply annexing all of Eritrea outright. A development that didn't sit very well with most Eritreans. Armed Eritrean insurgents and guerrillas would rise up and continue to fight against the Ethiopian.
That was to be expected though. Come on, man. That was to be expected. You should have given them something in return. Like, I don't know. What do you want? What do you guys want? I give you... You guys can control the... I don't know, bro. Control the borders. Control the sea. Control the energy making. Control the bank. Control the schools. You know what I'm saying? Give them something, bro.
Ethiopian state for their independence
I said, nah,
for decades.
you're with us now.
In the meantime, the lines of the Cold War deepened around...
But that is what the Europeans do, bro. They take you in, and they're like, yeah, you're with us. Don't worry about that. Like, you can do your own thing. We won't do nothing to you. Like, don't watch that. And you're like, wow, like these men are nice. And the next thing you know, they're like, actually, we want that too. And we want that too. Wait, what's that? Oh yeah, we want that too. So you know what I'm saying? I'm not saying it makes it right, but
Ethiopia's neighborhood. To reward the United States for supporting Ethiopia's annexation of Eritrea, Haile Selassie granted the Americans the right to establish a naval base on the coast of Massawa, in between the strategic Suez Canal in the north and the narrow Bab el-Mandeb Strait in the south, along with a vast radio antenna farm in the Eritrean capital of Asmara nearby, a geographically ideal location to place one at, due to its close proximity to the Middle East and the equator, and high altitude at 7,300 feet up above sea level. The Soviet Union, meanwhile, initially chose to counter America's close relationship with the Ethiopian Empire by supporting their biggest regional rival, Somalia, a nation that lay Ethiopia. The Soviet Union, meanwhile, initially chose to counter America's close relationship with the Ethiopian Empire by supporting their
Oh, that was a bad move. That was a bad move. You shouldn't be that close to the US, bro. You should dip your toes in and then leave, you know? Just check the temperature and then leave. Check the temperature and leave. You know what I'm saying? And then you go see the Russians too. Go see both. Be like, hey, we're not gal over here. I don't have to pick one white man over the other. I can work with both. You know what I'm saying? These man, the Russians are like, is it now? Is this what you want? You know that's my op. You're gonna go chat to him like that. You're not gonna chat to me. Nah, say no more.
biggest regional rival, Somalia, a nation that laid claim to the ethnically Somali majority area of eastern Ethiopia in a region known as the Ogaden, in pursuit of a foreign policy in Mogadishu to establish a greater Somalia, out of all the ethnically Somali majority areas in the Horn of Africa.
We chose Shopify because for us it was
I heard the beaches are nice over there.
easiest and most seamless.
After emerging as the leader of the only country in Africa that had fought off European colonialism, Haile Selassie also carried with him a lot of diplomatic...
Broski was fighting a tough fight, you know. That's when you say Bun Babylon with King Haile Selassie. We're not joking, bro. It was a very tough fight. One of the last spillers.
Clout on the continent during the
Whilst all the other men were out here on their knees, he was like, nah,
era of the 1960s, which led to him successfully arguing that the new Organization of African Unity should have their headquarters established in the Ethiopian capital of Addis Ababa in 1963. Decades later, in 2002, that organization would evolve into the modern African Union and retain its headquarters in Addis Ababa to this day. But eventually, after decades on the throne of Ethiopia, the by then 82-year-old autocratic Haile Selassie was finally overthrown by a military coup in 1974, and he was dead by the following year. The officers who overthrew him then appointed a major named Mengistu Haile Mariam as essentially the country's new dictator, and they sought to radically transform the former feudal monarchy of Ethiopia into a communist Marxist-Leninist state that they called the People's Democratic Republic of Ethiopia. The new communist Ethiopia inherited the continuing war for independence going on in Eritrea that they similarly attempted to crush with force, while Somalia sensed an opportunity in the revolutionary chaos.
What's my man? What's my man on? Man just came onto the power, he's just on smoke. No diplomacy, like hardly nothing. Just pure force. Okay. Damn.
And invaded Ethiopia in 1976 in an attempt to conquer the ethnically Somali majority area of the Ogaden. But with Ethiopia now ruled by communists and the Americans out of the country, the Soviets decided to abandon their prior support for Somalia and switch sides over to Ethiopia. The Soviets then organized a massive airlift of military equipment to Ethiopia worth around $1 billion that was accompanied by Soviet military...
You see, the Russians are not thinking about sides, bro. They're not like, oh, I'm on your side. They're like, if I can work with you, I can work with the other as well. So it goes to Ethiopia as well. If I can work with that side, I can work with that side as well.
Advisors and about 12,000 soldiers who came over from Fidel Castro's Cuba, who together managed to decisively crush the Somali invasion by 1978. That defeat was so great that it led to a revolt in the Somali army afterwards, which was the spark that ignited the Somali civil war that is still ongoing today. A war that has long made Somalia the 21st century poster child of the failed state. But while Ethiopia's territorial integrity was maintained, including its control over the ongoing insurgency in Eritrea, the communist regime's gross mismanagement of the Ethiopian agricultural economy, combined with a drought, led to an apocalyptic famine between 1983 and 1985 that potentially killed as many as 1.2 million people within the country, and was most heavily represented by deaths where active rebellions against his regime were ongoing in Eritrea and in Tigray that were largely denied assistance, representing one of the worst famines of the entire 20th century. Unrest and anger at the communist regime's response to the famine within Ethiopia grew, and anti-government rebellions like the Tigray People's Liberation Front in the Tigray region, who allied with the Eritrean including its control over the ongoing insurgency in Eritrea. The communist regime's gross mismanagement of the Ethiopian agricultural economy, combined with a drought, led to an apocalyptic famine between 1983 and 1985.
What an idiot. He was so focused on the war, he forgot he had to eat. He was so focused on the war, he forgot the people had to eat, bro. As a leader, you can't make that mistake.
That potentially killed as many as 1.2 million people within the country, and was most heavily represented by deaths where active rebellions against his regime were ongoing in Eritrea and in Tigray that were largely denied assistance, representing one of the worst famines of the entire 20th century. Unrest and anger at the communist regime's response to the famine within Ethiopia grew, and anti-government rebellions like the Tigray People's Liberation Front in the Tigray region, who allied with the Eritrean insurgents, began steadily gaining the upper hand. In 1990, with the Soviet Union and the Eastern Bloc actively collapsing, Moscow decided to cut off their continued economic assistance to Ethiopia, and the thousands of allied Cuban troops all went home, cutting off Mengistu's 17-year-long communist regime from its primary supporter. Afterwards, the various anti-government forces operating across the country began rapidly gaining ground even further, with the Eritrean insurgents securing complete control over the entirety of Eritrea and pushing the Ethiopian army out by May of 1991, and anti-government Tigrayan forces nearing the capital of Addis Ababa. Sensing that the gig was up, Mengistu fled the capital for Zimbabwe, where he was granted political asylum and continues to reside to this day at the age of 86, despite an Ethiopian court subsequently finding him guilty of genocide in absentia that carried a death sentence, for which Ethiopia has repeatedly requested his extradition from Zimbabwe, and which Zimbabwe has continually rejected for decades ever since. The new Ethiopia that emerged after the collapse of communism in 1991 became the Federal Democratic Republic of Ethiopia. The Ethiopia that
every time there's democratic in the African country's name, it sounds scary. Why do you have to say it's democratic? Why? Who are you trying to convince?
Continues to exist today. A new constitution was drafted. The
name is too long and nice. It sounds too good, nah.
The entire country into an ethnically based federation with powers devolved to 12 new ethno-linguistically defined regional states and 2 chartered cities. These 12 new regions were semi-autonomous states that were created within the country for all of Ethiopia's largest ethnic groups: the Oromo, the Amhara, the Tigray, the Somali, the Afar, and so on. But the very first leader of the new country, who would govern until his death in 2012, was an ethnic Tigrayan named Meles Zenawi from the Tigray People's Liberation Front, which caused a significant degree of angst within the ethnic Amhara community, who had been the ones used to running Ethiopia in all of its various forms for the past several centuries. Initially, Eritrea was the 13th region of this new Ethiopia created after 1991. But since the Tigrayans and the Eritreans had fought together as allies to overthrow the communists and the Eritreans now controlled their entire territory, a referendum on Eritrean independence from Ethiopia was granted in April of 1993 that was overwhelmingly approved by Eritrean voters, which led to Eritrea being formally granted its independence by Addis Ababa the following month in May, resulting in the first time that Eritrea had been truly independent in well over a century. Immediately upon that independence in 1993, a man named Isaias Afwerki rose to the position of Eritrea's new presidency. A man who has continued to remain Eritrea's president ever since, right up until the current day, more than 30 years later. Isaias has ever since run what is often...
If there's a purpose for that country existing, I'm not against it. If they're truly benefiting the continent and all their neighbours, and they can benefit from their neighbours in return, and they can have an agreement, that makes sense. But if the smaller country is working for the interest of other people that are not caring about the interest or the neighboring countries, then you're kind of fucking up the base. I'm not saying that's what Eritrea is doing, but if that was the case, because I'm thinking about countries in Europe like Luxembourg or like Netherlands, which are smaller than other countries in Europe, Switzerland, but other European countries are not trying to take them over, and I'm guessing it's because they serve a purpose in the whole ecosystem. For example, Luxembourg and Switzerland, they're tax havens. So like European countries like France, Germany, Austria, that might care about taking over some land that they might used to have, they don't care no more because they can work with that European countries to hide assets. So like they can benefit from it. They're like, okay, like you helping the whole continent. Like let's say if Eritrea was like a tax haven for Africans, especially the East Africans, then there's no need for us for Ethiopia to even think about taking over some land to get closer to the sea, because you're helping our people help you type shit. It's like, okay, we're gonna make our money, but we're gonna put it away in your country because we know that you're gonna protect it well, and you know what I'm saying, and you're gonna keep shit anonymous. So like, you know what I'm saying. But if it's a country that's there, it's just we just want to be independent, and then they're working with people that have been your ops before, like it's destabilizing your own country. It's like, bro, we're neighbors, you know what I'm saying?
Regarded as one of the most extreme.
And that goes for Ethiopia as well. Like if you're fucking with that country, it don't matter because you're bigger. Like they have the right to revolt as well. You know what I'm saying?
Regimes in all of
as long as it benefits them.
Contemporary history in Eritrea. No elections have ever been held in the more than 30 years since Isaias came to power. There has never been a constitution, there's never been a published government budget, and there hasn't ever even been a legislature. Literally all political power and authority within Eritrea has been solely concentrated in the person of Isaias Afwerki ever since 1993. And so it is his word and only his word that is law in the country. In 2022, Reporters Without Borders literally ranked the Isaias regime in Eritrea as dead last in the entire world on its Freedom of the Press Index, with a score that was somehow even lower than North Korea. And part of the reason why is that in many ways, Isaias's regime in Eritrea is even more totalitarian and hardcore than the Kims in North Korea, which is why
And you don't hear the national community crying about, oh, we need to help. We need to do this because North Koreans no, they're like, because they're probably helping that shit,
Eritrea's nickname in the 21st century has sometimes been the North Korea of Africa. For example, all men and women in the country are forced to serve what's on paper, an 18-month-long mandatory conscription service within the Eritrean Armed Forces. But in practice, nearly everybody serves vastly longer than a mere 18 months. There are virtually no available means for military conscripts in Eritrea.
That's why I shout out a lot of my Eritrean mandem that live in London. Shout out to Eritrean mandem that live in Canada, because you don't have to stand for this fuckery, you know. Like if they had the opportunity to leave, they didn't end up in the army. Who knows? They might have died in the army for what? My man's in power. He's not doing nothing for them. Why are they gonna give their body away, to fight in the army? Like, you know what I'm saying? I hear it, bro.
Actually get themselves discharged, while conscripts and their families face severe legal reprisals for desertion. Conscripts who do desert at any time will often have their parents or siblings' houses and property confiscated by the government, with orders further put into place that nobody else can give them shelter, essentially forcing them into an indefinite legal state of homelessness. So, the fear of these reprisals and no means to actually get themselves discharged ultimately means that virtually all conscripts in Eritrea end up serving within the armed forces for indefinite periods of time that are often measured in the space. For example, all men and women in the country are forced to serve what's on paper, an 18-month-long mandatory conscription service within the Eritrean Armed Forces. But in practice, nearly everybody serves vastly longer than a mere 18 months. There are virtually no available means for military conscripts in Eritrea to actually get themselves discharged, while conscripts and their families face severe legal reprisals for desertion. Conscripts who do desert at any time will often have their parents or siblings' houses and property confiscated by the government, with orders further put into place that nobody else can give them shelter, essentially forcing them into an indefinite legal state of homelessness. So, the fear of these reprisals and no means to actually get themselves discharged ultimately means that virtually all conscripts in Eritrea end up serving within the armed forces for indefinite periods of time that are often measured in the span of decades, which has led to widespread accusations of the Isaiah
decades in the army, safe.
What is essentially a 21st century slave army, where 1 in 5 people in the country are indefinitely trapped in. And a big part of why the Isaiah's regime in Eritrea became this way was that almost immediately upon independence in 1993, his regime in Eritrea and the new government in Ethiopia didn't exactly trust each other very much. Between 1993 and 1998, relations began warm enough, and Eritrea continued granting Ethiopia the rights to continue using their ports in Massawa and Assab. Assab being the more critical of the two, as before Eritrea's independence, it accounted for around 70% of Ethiopia's entire trade volume. But at the same time, after Eritrea was granted independence, the new international border between Eritrea and Ethiopia was never properly demarcated. Both sides in the 1990s interpreted older colonial-era treaties defining the border between Italian Eritrea and Imperial Ethiopia differently, which led to a series of disputed territories between them that both new countries claimed. The most important of which was the largest chunk of disputed land in the west around the town of Badme.
If you live in the town of Badme, it's peak. It's peak, bro. That's where the fighting is happening. If you live there, it's
Whatever your
peak.
flavor, make big moves. Syrup.
In 1998, a series of military skirmishes between Ethiopia and Eritrea developed around Badme that rapidly escalated into a full-blown war that would last for the following 2 years. Both sides would end up throwing just about everything they had into the war over those 2 years, and they each lost significant amounts of blood and treasure, with an estimated 100,000 people losing their lives as a direct result of the fighting. By the summer of 2000, Ethiopia was the one in control of all of the disputed territories, and their army was beginning to advance into Eritrea proper, which sparked international calls for a ceasefire. This culminated with the United Nations mediating an armistice between Eritrea and Ethiopia with the Algiers Agreement that was signed in December of 2000. In which both parties agreed to set up a border commission in collaboration with a permanent court of arbitration based in The Hague that would determine the final.
You see them swords, fam? Oh my gosh.
Legally accepted border between the two countries. So then, in April of 2002, the Commission announced their final verdict, which determined that most of the disputed territory, including the town of Badme that sparked the war in the first place, belonged, in fact, to Eritrea, despite the fact that all of the disputed territory was still under the control of the Ethiopian army. Ethiopia had fought for years and paid tens of thousands of lives to gain control over these territories. And a big chunk of the territories were just to the north of Ethiopia's Tigray region, while the Tigray People's Liberation Front, the government that dominated Ethiopia at the time, saw them as an extension of the Tigray region itself and refused to give them up. So they basically just refused to accept any of the findings of the Boundary Commission and kept their soldiers in place, occupying all of the disputed territories instead, which kept relations between themselves and Eritrea tense for years. The land dispute between them essentially became a frozen conflict, with neither side backing down, neither side agreeing to end the official state of war between them, and both sides keeping their respective borders locked down, with no permission.
I had to mute my mic because when I be eating and I'm listening to the streams back, it's very loud, fam.
For anyone to cross, and soldiers placed on high alert. For the next 16 years after 2002 until 2018, this was the dangerous situation that remained frozen in place between Ethiopia and Eritrea. While Eritrea further severed Ethiopia's access to their ports at Massawa and Assab that they had been using between 1993 and 1998.
Jeez.
And with some
hit them where it hurts. The fucking wallet.
Somalia still trapped in a seemingly never-ending chaotic civil war. This is why Ethiopia began to rely so heavily upon the port of Dorala within Djibouti during the 2000s, as it was really the only geographically available lifeline to trade with the outside world. But things seemed like they were finally beginning to change in Ethiopia in 2018, with the election of a new prime minister, Abiy Ahmed. Abiy's father was an ethnic Oromo and his mother an ethnic Amhara, and so he represented the very first Oromo in Ethiopia's millennia-long history to manage to rise to the position of the country's leadership, despite the Oromo having long been the country's largest single ethnicity. Within only a matter of weeks of assuming the office, Abiy suddenly announced that Ethiopia would end up finally honoring the results of the 2002 Border Commission that awarded most of the disputed territory with Eritrea to Eritrea. Abiy pulled the army out of all the territories that the commission had awarded to Eritrea 16 years previously, agreed on a transfer of all those territories to Eritrea, and a formal peace agreement finally ending the state of war between them that had been ongoing for the past 20 years, ever since 1998. Relations were fully restored and flights between them opened for the first time in decades. While Abiy expected that in exchange for finally settling the conflict, Eritrea would return Ethiopia's access to their ports at Assab and Massawa again, just like they used to have for decades previously back in the 1990s.
It would only make sense, right? I gave you your land back, give me something.
And for all of these efforts at making peace with Eritrea in 2018, Abiy Ahmed was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize the following year in 2019. A prize that would very quickly age like finely curdled milk. Because, as it soon turned out, resolving the decades-long border dispute with Eritrea didn't also mean a sudden end to all of Ethiopia's many other problems as well, especially Ethiopia's internal problems.
Don't spend hours or days of your life aimlessly scrolling through a catalogue of mediocre music when you...
Ever since 1991, there have been fears that Ethiopia could one day end up following a similar path as Yugoslavia did, and collapse into a free-for-all ethnicity-based civil war between all of the country's dozens of different groups, who all want power for themselves. The Amhara continue to be angry that after centuries in charge of Ethiopia, they had no longer been the ones calling any of the shots ever since 1991. The Oromo were still largely upset that despite being the largest ethnic group, they had never been granted most of the country's power and continue to feel disenfranchised. The Somali, to a degree, continue to gaze towards Somalia, while the Tigrayans, who were largely the ones in power between 1991 and 2018, wondered after 2018 if they could eventually return, despite only representing about 7% of the country's total population. There were many ethnic Tigrayans within the Tigray region, after all, who saw Abiy's handing away of the disputed territories to Eritrea in 2018 as a severe political betrayal, because they saw those territories just to their north as rightfully belonging to Tigray. And so the Tigray People's Liberation Front, or TPLF, the party that governed within the Tigray region, and the party that had dominated Ethiopian-wide politics until 2018, condemned the peace treaty. Then, the following year in 2019, Abiy Ahmed dissolved the ethnically based national coalition government that had been ruling the country ever since the collapse of communism, and replaced it with a brand new party that he called the Prosperity Party, which the TPLF in the Tigray region refused to join. Tensions between the Ethiopian federal government and the Tigray region began to escalate, and it erupted into a full-scale war between them in November of 2020.
Why didn't they join it though? That's a good question. Why would they say no? If they would be included, right? No? It's too cold in here. Hold on. Sheesh, I haven't worked out since last week. I need to do a workout still.
So-called Tigray War that followed would end up raging across the whole of Ethiopia for the following 2 years, until November of 2022. A war that saw the Ethiopian federal government ally itself with Eritrea and Amhara militias against the TPLF and the Tigray region until November. End up raging across the whole of Ethiopia for the following 2 years, until November of 2022. A war that saw the Ethiopian federal government ally itself with Eritrea and Amhara militias against the TPLF in the Tigray region and the Oromo Liberation Army, or OLA, a militia who controlled pockets of territory across Ethiopia's Oromo region. That war would end up costing everyone involved incredibly dearly. Hundreds of thousands of soldiers at a minimum were mobilized by both of the coalitions involved to fight. Nobody knows exactly how many lives were lost as a result of the fighting, but there is an estimate from Ghent University, who researched the conflict in depth, that concluded upwards of 600,000 people across Ethiopia and Eritrea were killed by the Tigray War in only the 2 years of fighting between 2020 and 2022. Which, if accurate, would make the Tigray War one of the 21st century's top 3 bloodiest conflicts. And on top of the potentially catastrophic loss in human life, the war also cost the Ethiopian state an estimated $20 billion worth of economic damage as well. The war finally concluded with a peace treaty signed between the Ethiopian federal government and the TPLF in Pretoria, South Africa, in November of 2022. The TPLF agreed to completely disarm, while federal Ethiopian authority was re-established across most of the Tigray region. But even after that devastating war ended, other internal conflicts within Ethiopia remained. The Oromo Liberation Army has continued to wage an insurgency against the government, with pockets of control across the Oromo region remaining, while both the Amhara militias and the Isaias regime in Eritrea, who fought alongside Abiy Ahmed's forces against Tigray, felt betrayed by the Prime Minister's peace agreement signed in Pretoria, because they wanted to finish the job and destroy the TPLF in the Tigray region once and for all. The fact that the TPLF was allowed to continue existing was seen by Eritrea and the Amhara militias with suspicion. The war had concluded with the Amhara militia known as Fano in de facto control over large swaths of the Amhara region and the westernmost part of the Tigray region, and with the Eritrean armed forces still in control over some sections of northern Tigray as well.
I'm gonna give you my #1 tip to get over a breakup, and that is gonna be going to therapy. Going to therapy helped me.
Fano views its movement of Amhara nationalism as the same thing as Ethiopian nationalism, and so their primary goal is to return the Amhara to the leadership position within the country that they enjoyed for centuries until 1991, when the TPLF and the Tigrayans took over. Abiy Ahmed's federal Ethiopian government, meanwhile, espouses the unity of all Ethiopians and advocates for Ethiopian national identity as being supreme over regional ethno-linguistic and religious identities. As such, his government has no tolerance for regional separatism or regional supremacy movements within Ethiopia, which is part of what's brought the government into conflict with the TPLF in the Tigray region, the OLA in the Oromia region, and now the Fano in the Amhara region as well. Tensions between the federal government and Fano escalated dramatically in April of 2023, when Abiy's government attempted to force the Fano to disarm themselves, which they refused to do. Tensions escalated further to the point where Fano began an armed insurgency against Abiy's federal government, which Abiy responded to with drone and artillery strikes and sending the Ethiopian army in to deal with them. So by the middle of 2023, Ethiopia's federal authority had been restored across most of the Tigray region, but the government was continuing to fight separate wars against the OLA in the Oromia region and against the Fano in the Amhara and western Tigray regions, while relations with Eritrea, who continue to also occupy parts of northern Tigray, were continuing to deteriorate as well. Especially as Eritrea never ended up granting Ethiopia their desired port access in either Assab or Massawa.
Oh,
something
shit.
that Abiy had apparently expected would have happened by now 5 years later after he first signed the peace agreement with Eritrea back in 2018.
Oh, shit. That's
Abiy's government in Ethiopia fears that Isaias Afwerki's regime in Eritrea is attempting to destabilize Ethiopia by supporting both the Fano and the OLA militarily, a hypothetical capability made all the easier by the Fano militia's control of western Tigray and the direct access by land into Eritrea that grants them, something that Abiy's federal Ethiopian government would like to relieve them of, and something the Fano won't give up voluntarily. These fears were potentially evidenced in May of 2023, when a group of Amhara extremists assassinated the head of the Amhara regional branch of Abiy's Prosperity Party, an assassination that the Ethiopian government claims received direct support from Eritrea. Abiy Ahmed publicly warned Eritrea from interfering in Ethiopia's internal affairs following that assassination, and behind closed doors, he reportedly warned Eritrean generals against supporting the Amharan militias that he is currently fighting against. And then, a few months later after all of this internal chaos, came Abiy Ahmed's increasingly bellicose rhetoric towards Ethiopia finally acquiring access to the sea as well. In October of 2023, he first suggested the neighboring coastal countries like Eritrea, Djibouti, and Somalia could exchange shares of their ports for equivalent shares in his own country's Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam, Ethiopia's greatest engineering megaproject and the largest hydroelectric dam on the African continent, that has cost more than $5 billion to construct and which will be capable of providing enormous amounts of energy for both Ethiopia and surrounding countries too once it's fully completed. But Djibouti, Eritrea, and Somalia have all so far rejected these offers, insisting that the sovereignty of their ports is not a subject that's open for negotiation. Perhaps to foreshadow the current crisis in Ethiopia's coastal ambitions, the Ethiopian Navy was disbanded back in 1996, only 3 years after the independence of Eritrea in 1993 left the country landlocked. But shortly after assuming power in 2018, Abiy Ahmed announced the restoration of the Ethiopian Navy as a branch of the country's armed forces in 2019. The new Ethiopian Navy currently maintains its headquarters on Lake Tana, where the Blue Nile originates from. But in the future, it's almost a certainty that Abiy and
that's where the Nile originates from, or the Blue Nile.
2019. The new Ethiopian Navy currently maintains its headquarters on Lake Tana, where the Blue Nile originates from. But in the future, it's almost a certainty that Abiy and his government view the Ethiopian Navy's rightful place on the Red Sea again, just as it used to be for decades between the 1950s and the 1990s.
Is your agency using WordPress to build websites? That's like carving a chicken with a handsaw.
Eritrea is doing them dirty though, I can't lie. The deals didn't come true. They're trying to destabilize the country. Like, bro, what are you doing?
With the refusal of Eritrea, Djibouti, or Somalia to consider exchanging shares of their ports for shares of Ethiopia's dams, and Ethiopia's continued massive and costly over-reliance on the port of Djibouti for all of its international trade, it might seem tempting for Ethiopia to decide on rolling the iron dice and attack Eritrea at a time when the international community may hardly even notice or care. In November of 2020, Abiy launched his war against the TPLF in the Tigray region in the midst of global attention being focused on the American presidential election. And now, he may choose to launch another war against Eritrea, while international attention is fixated on the other wars going on in Gaza and Ukraine. There were still even further concerns that the world might not end up particularly caring if Ethiopia launches an attack on Eritrea anyway, because of how internationally isolated and despised the totalitarian regime of Isaias Afwerki is already. Many other countries around the world may not particularly care if the regime that utilizes a modern-day slave army and that ranks even lower than North Korea on numerous human rights abuses gets removed from power, especially while global attention is more focused on bigger uncertainties concerning the ultimate futures of Gaza and Ukraine. And Abiy Ahmed is probably aware of that. He could send the Ethiopian army into Eritrea with the stated objectives of pushing Eritrea's continued occupation in the Tigray region out and liberating Eritreans from their oppressive totalitarian regime, but with the actual quiet objective of reconquering parts or even all of the country and reincorporating it back into Ethiopia again like it was.
You could make that argument, you know, I can't lie. Especially if you use the diaspora as like a backing. As in, people that are Eritrean would like to go back to their country, and as long as this leader is in power, they're basically considered criminals because they left the country and they didn't go to the army and stuff. So he could make an argument that he will free that region, and then any Eritrean people around the world can freely come back, get a house, get some land, and you know what I'm saying, and he get access to the ports. For
most of the second half of the 20th century. If it does end up coming to war, like it seems it might, uncertainties abound on all sides. The Eritreans are only 3.7 million people against Ethiopia's 126.5 million. But the Eritreans are far more unified than the chronically internally unstable Ethiopia is. Isaias Afwerki's enforced slave army might not end up having the greatest affinity to protecting their dictator who has forced them into decades of servitude, but they might also rally around him against an Ethiopian attempt to re-subjugate them. Eritreans fought a long and bloody insurgency against Ethiopia for decades, voted overwhelmingly for independence from Ethiopia in 1993, and tens of thousands of them sacrificed their lives fighting against Ethiopia in the war between 1998 and 2000. So it's almost a certainty that virtually none of them would be very thrilled about the Ethiopian army returning to reimpose their authority over them again. And while the timing of war now can be advantageous to Ethiopia in some ways, it could also be disastrous in others. The country was wrecked by the Tigray War that raged between 2020 and 2022, and suffered over $20 billion worth of economic damages and likely hundreds of thousands of deaths. Ethiopia is therefore currently engaged in negotiations with the IMF to secure billions of dollars worth of loans to help itself rebuild following that war. And so, launching another war against Eritrea could simultaneously jeopardize those negotiations and cause even further economic damages that the country would struggle to dig itself out from. Moreover, an outright unilateral conquest and annexation of parts or all of Eritrea by Ethiopia would likely be met with at least some international condemnation and sanctions. But Abiy's government may calculate that the price would be worth it anyway, in exchange for securing the long-term goals and benefits that would come from a breakout of its landlocked state and the acquisition of a coastline. With Ethiopian military units currently massing themselves near the border,
that coastline will be bombarded by pirates, fam.
With Eritrea, a collision course between them is appearing increasingly likely. If an invasion does end up following, it is likely that Ethiopia's initial attacks would be heavily concentrated on the southeastern front near the Eritrean port of Assab, which would likely...
Maybe if they get Djibouti to back them as well. Djibouti is right there. If they get Djibouti to be on their side, they'll be like, okay, yeah, we won't have to use your port as much, or like, you'll get benefit, we'll let you trade through here as well.
Likely be a primary Ethiopian wartime objective to capture. Assab, of course, had been the primary port that Ethiopia used back when Eritrea had been a part of the country between the 1950s and the 1990s, and it continued being the primary port of Ethiopia used after Eritrea became independent until the war began in 1998. But Assab's geostrategic importance has increased even further very recently since 2015. In that year, Eritrea allowed the United Arab Emirates to establish an overseas naval and air base in Assab, a base that enabled the Emiratis to launch rapid attacks on the Houthis in Yemen very close by from.
What the fuck?
Looking for the ultimate user experience toolkit? Meet
Yeah, what the fuck are they doing over there?
The United Arab Emirates then dumped a ton of money into modernizing all of the facilities in Assab to sustain these military objectives in Yemen. Modern barracks, a brand new pier, and a brand new airstrip capable of handling modern fighters and bombers. But then, as the war in Yemen continued dragging on with no end in sight, the United Arab Emirates began to withdraw from the war in 2019. And so they began to withdraw from their base in Assab as well. By 2021, there was reportedly very little trace of the United Arab Emirates' former presence in Assab at all.
Them man don't want to war forever. What the hell?
For all the work
that's not where the money is.
They put into modernizing it. This meant that after 2021, Assab has been basically a fully capable port and airfield just sitting there for a modern military to use. Which is why there's been frequent discussions between Eritrea and Moscow over establishing the Russian Navy's presence in Assab ever since. A hypothetical development that would place the Russian Navy near the Bab el-Mandeb Strait and on both sides of the Suez Canal, through which Russian oil tankers travel towards important markets in India and China. And thus, if the Russian Navy ever established itself in Assab, Moscow would be highly incentivized to ensure Eritrea's continued independence, in order for them to continue hanging on to Assab. And so, before that can ever happen, Ethiopia might rationalize that it would be better for them to be the ones to seize control over the port of Assab first, in order to own a fully modernized port on the Red Sea that can become the new home port of the Ethiopian Navy. From Eritrea's perspective, Assab is a distant and remote part of the country, located 300 miles away from the Eritrean core around the capital city of Asmara. There is only a single road that connects Assab back to the Eritrean core across this large and mostly empty distance, meaning that Eritrea will find it to be very logistically challenging to support and resupply Assab during an attack or a siege. It will be even more difficult when you consider that at its narrowest point, this single road between Assab and Asmara is fewer than 5 miles away from the Ethiopian border, implying that all Ethiopian forces would have to do is advance about 5 miles into Eritrea, sever the road, and block the ability for Eritrea to resupply Assab at all by land, which would then grant the Ethiopians the ability to lay siege to an Assab with greatly depleted supplies and resources. Abiy Ahmed's war aims may be limited to simply capturing Assab and finally establishing an Ethiopian-controlled port on the Red Sea, nearby to the strategic...
I'm watching this side. I'm bare saying, this shit is clicking in. I'm just...
Bab el-Mandeb Strait, through which 9% of the world's oil supply is traded. But he might also decide to go further and expand Ethiopia's war aims to restore the entirety of Eritrea back beneath Ethiopian control again, establishing Ethiopian control over a very long coastline with the Red Sea in the process, just like the Ethiopian Emperor Haile Selassie managed to do diplomatically back in 1952. There were already historical arguments and claims being made by several figures within the Ethiopian government that Ethiopia's natural borders are the Red Sea, with maps being shown during recent Ethiopian televised addresses dating back to the ancient kingdom of Aksum and to Haile Selassie's empire in the communist era during the 20th century, when Eritrea was fully controlled from Addis Ababa. Abiy Ahmed himself is ultimately a leader who believes in a glorious future for Ethiopia, and he has repeatedly stressed recently that Ethiopia's future greatness or failure will be determined by whether or not the nation can acquire access to ports and its own international trade or not. For long periods of its history in the past, Ethiopia has indeed controlled significant amounts of coastline and maintained a powerful navy that has at times dominated the trade routes of the Red Sea. But the way that many Ethiopian nationalists view things currently is that Ethiopia's rightful access to this sea was stolen by Italian colonialists in the 19th century.
It
with
was.
their establishment of Italian Eritrea.
It
It was then
fucking
given
was.
back to Ethiopia by the United Nations in 1952, and then lost again with the stroke of a pen in 1993, when Eritrea was granted its independence by the TPLF, or the Tigrayans, the party who came to govern Ethiopia following the collapse of communism, and a party that Abiy Ahmed and other Ethiopian nationalists have since come to blame for allowing Eritrea to ever become independent, something that they view as only a recent historic mistake that deserves to be fixed in a similar way that Vladimir Putin viewed the sudden loss of Crimea in 1991, with the collapse of the Soviet Union, as a historic error that they needed to fix by 2014. Sooner or later, Abiy Ahmed's warnings and threats may end up coming true. By 2030, 150 million Ethiopians will be trapped in what he has referred to as their geographic prison, and the nation will be the only one of the top 30 most populous worldwide to be landlocked, unless something is done about it. For thousands of years, it has been well understood that maritime access is one of the greatest advantages and sources of wealth and prosperity that a country can have. A study from the United Nations in 2018 indicated that access to the sea can account for up to 25 to 30% of a country's entire gross domestic product, a study that Abiy Ahmed himself has frequently cited to emphasize that Ethiopia's own lack of direct access to the sea is a severe handicap on Ethiopia's future.
100%.
Abiy Ahmed's government in Ethiopia views that in order for Ethiopia to emerge as a prosperous nation in the 21st century, it must achieve internal stability. It must harness the power of its rivers through mega projects like the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam, and it must secure direct access to the sea, even if it comes at the expense of the territorial integrity or even the independence of Eritrea. As Abiy Ahmed himself stated during that speech in October of 2023, 150 million Ethiopians will not be expected to live trapped within their geographic prison forever. And sooner or later, the prison will blast out somewhere to regain their lost access to the sea again. Expect that they will do
Bro,
so
I agree.
shortly.
That land
Be
was
prepared.
stolen by the Italians, bro. So some of it have, if not all of it, some of it had to come back, fam.
To see a war erupt over this issue in the not too distant future. Now, something that I've begun to notice about myself is that despite being a very busy person, I always seem to have small little gaps across my days that I end up filling by browsing through the recent news on Reddit, TikTok, or Twitter.
That was a good video still.
Good day, okay?
Can I take a picture with you? Picture.
Right, guys, so what we're going to do, we're going to carry on walking over here.
The title
We're
is
gonna carry on
I
walking
spent
around.
the day with the Taliban.
We just got stopped by a bunch of Talibs, so we're gonna go. Okay, bye-bye. Bye-bye. Alright, we got stopped by a bunch of Talibs, so we're gonna...
What's good, my guy? What's good? What's good?
Allah peace. Bye-bye.
This guy just went to the Taliban and we were watching it. I said to the Taliban to Afghanistan to meet the Talibans.
So what we're gonna do, we're gonna carry on.
What's good? What's good? What are you telling me?
We're gonna carry on going towards over here, and I'm gonna show you guys what it's like. I came here last time. I'm gonna show you where I came here last time. We're gonna go to the Blue Mosque over here in Kabul. Very interesting. Look at all this part over here. This is the other area of Kabul where people steal electricity. A lot of foreigners, some foreigners come here, some foreigners don't come here. But last time I came here, I was up here with Emma. If you watch my previous video, we walked all the way up here. We was in someone's house Yeah, this house. That was the house.
I can't see the house, bro.
Yes.
But the yellow one.
Can we stop?
Yeah.
For 1 minute, I want to see if it's the same family. It's okay?
Yeah, we can.
Oh, guys, if you watched my previous video, I want to go say hello to the family that actually
This
hosted
guy
me.
is an Afghanistan veteran. He already
remember the
remembers the
house.
places.
Right. Assalamu alaikum. So I came here. We're gonna go up this way. This is the house. Up here, just for 1 minute. Just this one over here. So I came here last time. Yeah, come on. I came here last time to say hello to the people. It was literally 1 year ago. And I want to see, Assalamu alaikum, hello. And I want to see if it's the same people that I saw last time when I came here. Just to say hello. Hopefully they're going to remember me.
They must remember him
Let's
if
go all the
that's
way
the
up.
same people.
Assalamu
No one
alaikum.
walks around with a hairstyle like
Hello,
this
my
in
friend.
their neighborhood.
Hello. Assalamu alaikum. So, let me see if they remember me. Or if they don't remember me. See what happens. Let's walk. Assalamu alaikum. I came last time. You good?
That's what I'm saying. I'm pretty sure they will remember him, you know.
Right. I want to see.
Apparently the dog doesn't remember though.
How are you?
Thank you.
I came here last time. Your brother is here? Big brother.
Father is not now here.
Oh, he's not here?
Yeah.
Big brother's here?
Big brother is here. Big brother all of them.
Oh, they've gone. Okay, bye-bye. Tell them I came here. I came here last year.
It is oddly relaxing, bro. Some of the tones are just like it's like nice vibrations.
Hi, Leffies. Let's go.
How did he remember the house? This guy's got a good memory.
Hello. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Yeah, well, I like most of the prayers. It depends who does it, because someone actually sings it. Sometimes it's bare loud, like it's too loud. But when they do it like nice like this, I like it. Sometimes it's scary, like it sounds like they're shouting on the mic. I'm like, wait, what?
Right. Let's go. Bye-bye. Woo. Oh man, I'm upset. Thought I was going to see the same family that I saw almost after 1 year, but I didn't see them. Oh, damn. Anyway, next time. And then
One thing about him, yeah, he never cuts the videos. That's why I be skipping through them, because he doesn't cut them, bro. There's not much edits. Like, I don't need to see him walking down the whole fucking mountain out of breath. Like, cut that out. You know what I'm saying?
So guys, couldn't film inside the mosque.
It's definitely less work for him, but it's more work for me, because now I have to skip through the bits that I don't really care about. Like, he's quick with the editing, you know, efficient, but now that I'm watching, I'm like, why am I watching this guy breathing for 10 minutes? Like, skip to like the good part.
They actually took our cameras. It was restricted to film inside. But hopefully I'm gonna go somewhere interesting where I went last time to film. I don't know. And we're gonna get some interesting people on camera, maybe like 1 hour minimum. Hello. Thank you. Bye-bye. Let me get to my destination, and I'm gonna start filming over there, and hope. Then I apologize. You got chat? Good? Just chilling. Assalamu alaikum. Hello, my friend.
How are you?
I'm very good. How are you?
Are you fine?
Very fine. Hello. Hello, my friend. Nice to meet you.
This guy, bare people out here.
Welcome to Afghanistan. She even said hello to me. Wow. Philistine? Philistine flag. Philistine!
People are now putting on
Free Philistine!
You got a Philistine flag going.
Philistine. Philistine. Is that how you pronounce it in Arabic? Philistine.
Going on there. I was very surprised. The lady just actually said hello to me. Wow. Anyway, vamos.
Lately, one way I've been able to help
I'm
keep my
speaking
mental health
Spanish now.
priority
What's going on?
Therapy using BetterHelp. After graduating college and now being a young.
After this, I'm gonna end the video.
After 1 year, I come back here, mate. Oh, look, here we go. The party's gonna start. Can.
Yeah, just.
Alright, guys, look, I'm here in the flagpole. Yes. Everything very good.
Hey!
Everyone's here, checking our documentations.
Is it a fireball or something?
It's been 1 year.
What, outside my house? Or it might be.
Yeah.
I didn't even hear it.
No problem.
It might have been the ambulance.
We will have talk to you.
Okay.
Hey, the Talibans.
Let's go. Alright, let's go.
The real mandem of Afghanistan. The real mandem.
That's good. Hey,
What are you doing?
The Talibans them.
You want a picture? Okay.
Talibans them.
Thank you. No, right, let's go. It's been almost 1 year. The last time I came here was 1 year ago.
We will have some conversation with
Okay, what conversation do you want with me? I don't know.
Oh, there's bear
So it's been 1 year since I've came over here.
Hey, brother.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Photo.
He's a big star out here.
Yeah.
Big star.
Thank you. Right, it's been 1 year.
Kayak photo.
Okay, photo.
Photo.
How are you, mister?
I'm very good, how are you?
Big star. He's a big star out here.
Where are you from, bro?
Imagine if I went out there, they'll think I'm a dark and Afghani. They'll be like, wait, you look Afghani, but you're dark.
London.
Asking the question that is your second time that you come.
It's my second time over here in Afghanistan. Yes.
Says?
Okay, thank you.
That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, let's go. So it's my second time coming over here. Well, my third time coming to this flagpole, but it's my second time when I actually met a lot of people. So I'm going to show you guys what it's like to come over
Why
here.
you have taken decision again?
Why? Because Afghanistan is peaceful and I've come to explore.
It is peaceful, but very quick time that you have.
I'm okay, brother. Huh?
That early that you have taken a new decision that you come again to Afghanistan.
Yeah, I want to show people Afghanistan is okay. That's why I came here, my friend.
Yeah, that's really
Bro, he's like the Tupac. He's like the 50 Cent out there. He's like more famous than Snoop Dogg.
Yes, that's the most important thing. Yes. How are you? Oh, picture.
They're all filming, bro. 51p. 51p with the
Thank you.
With the nose.
Right, let's go. I go with my tour guide. Right, let's go. Let's explore. Let's see the biggest Taliban
Bro,
flag.
he's got the
biggest Afghanistan.
He's got the largest security team right now. If anyone happens to him, they're ready to back it.
Yeah, over here.
If anything happens, they're ready.
Sorry, the biggest Afghanistani flag is right in front of me over here, guys. Wow, it's beautiful. How many years has this flag? Or how long did it take for them to build it?
Like 5 years back.
Okay.
But the white flag has been like from 2 years.
From 2 years. Wow. It's amazing. And the best time to come here basically is Friday, or is it every single day?
It's like Thursday and Friday.
Thursday and Friday.
Yeah.
Thursday and Friday is the best time.
No weekends.
To come over here.
Not out here.
If you want to meet some of the local Afghans, or if you just want to have a different experience. Assalamu alaikum, hello. You alright?
Have you learned any Pashto language?
Pashto? No, I just know Manana. I just know Manana and Tashakule, that's all I know.
Tashakule. Thank you.
Hello, my friend. Huh? I go this way. I don't know what is he saying?
Where are you going?
Oh, where am I going? exploring.
That's why whenever I had the chance to go to another place, I make friends with a local. They'll show you the best places, eat where the people eat. Bro, yeah, same. You always chat to the local people, but they're gonna show you the best places. Anywhere that I went, that's the best way to like get to know the town and shit. They're gonna show you everything. Like if you're just gonna stay in your hotel and not get into the Uber and that is boring. You need to chat to the people, get on the streets.
Wow, mashallah, look how beautiful that is.
Ooh, that's massive.
This is brand new. Yeah, this is Aqsa sign. This is brand new.
Yeah, it's new.
This was not here before.
Yeah, you just built it now.
Wow.
This is nice.
Wow. Mashallah, look how beautiful that is. How many years is this? Just
like last year they started working and
okay.
It's a different experience.
Wow.
Show tourist place and nice.
It's like I'm in Philistine right now. It's like I'm in Palestine right now. Al-Aqsa.
I don't even. I like tourist spots when there's not a lot of tourists, if you get me. I don't really fuck with tourist places like that as well. Like, I hate going to a place and there's mad like tourists. Like, I hate it. I fucking hate it, actually. I like going to a place and I'm seeing people from the country. Do you get it? I don't want to be in a spot where everyone's speaking English, like, and stuff like that. Like, it's jarring. Like. Sometimes it's nice, but bro, I can only do that for once in a while.
Wow. It's like we're in Al-Aqsa Masjid. In Philistine. Over here.
And how about your hairstyle that you make, brother?
Oh, this is an African traditional hairstyle, my friend. It's an African traditional hairstyle. And look at this. Look at that. Wow. Absolutely amazing. It's crazy. Hello, assalamu alaikum.
I never seen that hairstyle before. Have you ever seen an African before?
Look at this.
Ask the question that we will have a photo with you.
Okay, no problem. A photo? Okay, I'm gonna get a photo with this Talib over here. Okay.
Nah, it's definitely traditional still. I don't know what tradition, but there's definitely they do their hair like that. I don't know why, but some tribes they do their hair like that. Some women as well, they do their hair like that, and they put mud and shit in it. There's bare different traditions in Africa, innit? Like.
Wow, look how many people's here, man.
Because Caribbeans, we do that hairstyle as well in the Caribbean, but we got it from our African heritage as well. Like they call it China bumps. You got that from our heritage as well. I don't know why we call them China bumps, but
it's crazy. Oh, photo, okay.
Where I know from my country. Yeah, but it's worldwide, isn't it? Like I said, in the Caribbean, we do that. It's called China bumps. There's not really a size for it. You can do small ones or you can do big ones, but it came from our African origins. It's not something that we learn. Even braiding hair, like all that came from our African ancestry. I don't know the tribes that do that. I couldn't tell you. But
wow. Hello.
I just know that we didn't learn that from other people.
Crazy.
Maybe in South Africa it's smaller.
Afghanistan's in the back.
In the Caribbean there's small ones, there's big ones.
Thank you. Assalamu alaikum.
Please, brother, what do you say about the peaceful country right now, Afghanistan?
So my message is for people to come to Afghanistan,
of course,
and just to experience the hospitality. Yeah. Afghanistan is peaceful.
So is it your second time?
I think it's like some of the deities as well. Some of the sculptures of gods in like Yoruba tradition or like other traditional traditions. Some of them had them hairstyle as well. Like that's I think. Similar to like what the Buddha has on his head, like in like Hindu stuff, and sorry, not Hindu, Buddhism, but they have statues like that in Africa with the little China bumps.
I'm in Afghanistan, and I want more people to come and show us Afghanistan.
So what do you want for a third time?
Is it
Bindi?
Like to come again? Is it Bindi?
Hopefully, inshallah, the third time I may be.
I don't know the names. I forgot.
And how about your friends? Would you like to come there?
My friends will come. One of my friends is here.
Nice.
He's a Bengali guy from here.
Yeah.
That sounds.
Thank you. Let's go there.
It's on that one.
Hey, let us
Oh, I couldn't. I need to look into it again.
Okay, I go this way. I go.
I have a book about
I go with my tour guide, guys.
Yoruba traditions, but I need to get more books about that as well.
Wow. Oh, cool, vibey. Absolutely insane, huh? How do you feel? You're meant to be here. You're meant to be with the brothers. Look at all the brothers here.
Yeah. I know, I see that. Oh my days.
This is crazy.
Who's that?
Okay, one picture. Let's have
Oh, that's his friend, I think.
Nice.
Thank you so
Thank you. Thank your name?
Waliullah.
Amir. Nice to meet you. Okay.
Bro, he's got a whole crowd on him, bro. A whole crowd. They all fight him to see him, fam.
This is insane, guys, huh? Okay, does anyone here speak English? You speak English? Okay, you come. I want to ask you a question, yeah? What is your message for people to come to Afghanistan? What do you want to say to people for
I'll say
Afghanistan?
to the people of all around the world that came to Afghanistan, here is very peaceful in Afghanistan. The image of Taliban that they showed to the world, it's very wrong. It's a wrong message. So Afghanistan is very peaceful. So my message is to the world that come here and enjoy your tour, enjoy your journey. So thanks, it's very peaceful.
Thank you.
Nice to meet you.
Does anyone else speak English? No? English? Who? Him? English? English?
Oh shit.
English. Okay. What is your message for people who want to come to Afghanistan? What do you want to say?
Yeah, my message for all the foreign people that they have to come to Afghanistan. As the brothers say that the message or the image of the Taliban, that the people negatively transferred, that all of the behaviors of the people see the behavior of the people. It seems like the hospitality and the entertainment of the guys that you have seen. All of us are happy about to come to all of the guys here to Afghanistan. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. You see? Great hospitality over here. Allah Hafiz. Thank you.
Bro, how is there so many people?
Nice to meet you.
Where did they come from?
Picture. Wow. Hello. Where's my tour guide? Wow. Should we eat some pomegranate? Eat some pomegranate?
Bro, there's so many people around him right now. It's crazy. You can't have social anxiety if you go to Afghanistan.
Wow. One more picture. This is insane. Okay, we drink tea.
One picture, take with me.
Bro,
okay, calm down. Don't get aggressive.
These are fighting to get to a picture with you.
Okay, there you go.
Gosh.
Okay, let's go. Chalo. Hello, assalamu alaikum. Wow. It's the second time I've been here. What do you want to say?
I'll just say those who are scared of these people and what they hear on media, you are seeing the situation on ground. They are just welcoming everyone.
They all have iPhones, you know. These lot up, fam. These lot up. They try to make it seem like these men are not up. They all have iPhones,
so you
fam.
can visit, you can have a good time here, no problem, no issues here. These are humans standing here. There's nothing wrong in here. So whatever the Western media do the propaganda, it's not like this. I'm telling to each and everyone that you are seeing these people, these are human. They are behaving very good with each and everyone.
And I want to ask you a question. These people now, you're starting to see many foreigners are coming here. So foreigners are coming to Afghanistan because now Afghanistan is peaceful. As long as there's peace in Afghanistan, inshallah, more foreigners will come here. And they will start to understand the Afghani culture and the history. Thank you.
Afghanistan will conquer the world, inshallah, one day.
Hey! just say? Hey, holy! Did he just say Afghanistan will conquer the world? Hey, sorry, sir. I like you, Afghani people, but I want to remain Creole. I want to remain a Caribbean. I want to remain an African. Hey, yo!
Inshallah. Will conquer the world, inshallah.
Conquer the world! Oh my goodness.
Inshallah.
Okay, Baba, take care.
Oh my goodness.
Thank you. Right. Should we get some tea? I want to get some tea, I think. Or... Hello. All right, let me... It's crazy, man. Wow. We get some tea, we sit down. Where you going? Huh? Okay, picture. You have your phone? England, you have your phone?
My friend has one message for about Palestinian foreign country. Please interview with him.
In the name of Allah, I want to share my idea in our all country, Muslim country. They want to help in our Muslim in who is the Palestine. You know, in the Palestine is very young, is very hard, difficult, and but unfortunately, Palestine is one country, not another Muslim country like Arabic country. They don't help for Palestine. I want to all Muslim country to help the Palestine, because you know the Palestine is there are one masjid. Masjid name is Al-Aqsa, Masjid Al-Aqsa, like them. This is the one. This is the first Kaaba of all Muslims in the world. In this area, you know, in the conquer in the non-Muslim people. Non-Muslim people.
He just want to say that there are two choices for Israel. They have to leave the Palestine, or we will take the Palestine. There's no other way. They will leave the Palestine, inshallah.
Inshallah. And brother, inshallah, Palestine will be free.
Inshallah, it will.
But the most important thing, they need to stop killing people. You understand?
We will free the Palestine with our power, not with their help. We don't need any help for the rest of the world.
Inshallah.
We have our power. Inshallah, we will take it.
Brother, thank you for your message, okay? Thank you for your message. I appreciate it. Thank you.
You know,
he knows what he wants.
Share with all
around the world so they can see.
Okay.
Thank you. Brother.
That's the other side of the story we don't hear quite often.
Okay. Cool, blimey. All right. One more picture.
What's a blimey?
Film on your phone. Okay. Okay, bye-bye. All right, let's go. Where's your son?
They want to speak with you.
Okay.
Hey, brother.
You want to speak?
You want to
speak? Okay, Baba. What do you want to say?
Hello, everyone. First of all, I would like to welcome you to Afghanistan. Most welcome to Afghanistan. So people are very much happy for you, and they are also welcoming, enjoying your presence here. So we are also happy to see you here. You are a foreign person.
Thank you.
And now you have a tourist here in Afghanistan. So we are very much happy to you and welcome to you.
Thank you.
Nice to see you here.
Thank you.
It is Wazir Akbar Khan Tapa Hill. So it is a public place for Afghanistan, national place actually, a national park for Afghanistan, tourists where people are enjoying, gathering around, and also people are coming here to release their, I'm sorry, to remove their stress here.
Over here.
The depression over here. There are no, there are a couple of friends here gather here.
It's a peaceful place.
Of course.
And many foreigners that come over here as well to see the flag.
Of course, the flag
So they
of
come around.
Islamic Emirates, the heart of the people. So we love it, and we are proud of being this flag in Afghanistan. So we were waiting almost 22 years for this flag. So the security is, mashallah, very beautiful, very good. It is peaceful for all people
to come to Afghanistan.
To come to Afghanistan and enjoying visiting the places here, historic places there.
Yes, sir.
So we want all international people, all foreign people to come to Afghanistan and visit Afghanistan in a very peaceful situation, in a very peaceful condition, and perfect security in Afghanistan.
Thank you.
So nice to talk to you.
Thank you. Your name? Your name?
My name is Ibrahim Shahin.
Amir.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Bye. I want to go. Okay.
There's so many people.
No?
Afghanistan. Live Palestine to live to Palestine. If you are not living Palestine, so this is message from Afghanistan that we will fight and we will fight the like we freedom that our Afghanistan. So we will gain freedom from Israel. This is message of our Afghani people, our Afghani brothers to Israel.
To free the Philistine people.
Yeah, to free the Palestinian people. If they are not free, so this is, we are we are fighting, and we will go there and we will
crush them.
Jihad there.
Thank you. Assalamu alaikum, Abba. Why, where's he gone? Oh, he's there. Abba. Well, let's see what Abs is here. I'm gonna stop filming. What a day, guys. Yeah. What are they doing? Where are you posting that on? I'm walking. Alright, guys. Afghanistan. Oh! Afghanistan Zindabad. I give you the camera. You speak? You speak? You speak?
You don't know what he's talking about.
Shy. Shy. Hey, the kids are shy here. Hello. Hey, these kids are hilarious, man. They're very innocent. So you guys have heard many messages from individual people over here about how they feel about life, about reality, and about what's going on. Hello. So the video is about to end. Hello. Hi. Honestly, the kids so shy, and me as a black man walking over here is absolutely interesting because you don't really see a black person around here. And hello. Hi. But they're very hospitable and they're very happy to see a foreigner. How are you? I'm good. How are you? How are you? How are you? I'm good. Afghanistan. Zindabad. Zindabad. Woo! Right.
This guy's killing me.
Thank you. Thank you. But I'm on the go before things turn a bit left. Let me exit this place. Bye. Bye. Hello. Hello.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello.
Your name?
Huh?
Your name?
Your name?
What is your name? Picture on. Okay, thank you. Bye-bye. Let's get in the car. Okay. Thank you. Bye-bye. Cool, Blimey. Huh? Say bye-bye.
Bye.
Yeah, this is funny.
All guys are happy about you.
Everyone's happy.
Alright, this is funny still. This is funny. Wait, what? Sneaker? Is there anything
I be a little bit sensitive. This country has developed from a low-income agricultural.
Let's play some Fortnite quickly before I come off. Just gonna play a couple games and then call it a day. Wait, why can't I hear the game? Wait, what the hell? Why can't I hear the game? Nah, there's something wrong here. Hold on. Something wrong here. Why can't I hear the game? I was about to quit this. Bro. I don't know what's going on. I still can't hear the game. So fuck that. Why can't I hear anything? Oh, there you go. We lazy legs. Lazy. I said someone else landed there. I heard them land. So they must be here somewhere. Where's that chest? Oh, I'm lagging. Oh, I think it's upstairs. Oh, fuck. How did I make this chest? Oh, how did I break it now? Why is it not dropping? It should be dropping already. Nice. Who's shooting over there?